Okay, hi. So, I'm gonna be doing my first voiceover on this channel. I just never know what to talk about, so that's why I just prefer, then let me just put music over my speed paints. And that's it. But this time I'm actually gonna be doing a voiceover, and I'm gonna be just talking about it in general, like how I've progressed in painting, like where I started, when I started, how much I've come, like what's my future goals with painting, and just other random art stuff. So basically, I already did the voiceover for this, but it just didn't come out good, and I don't know if this one's gonna come out good. Hopefully it does. But if it does, you'll see it on the video. So basically, I started painting with I painted back in middle school, but it was like watercolors. Like that was my first painting medium was ever was watercolors. I never tried acrylic back then. I never used oils because I was little, I was young. So I just didn't know how those things worked, and coming from a family that isn't like, they don't know anything about art, like it's not like I was like exposed to it for me to even try it out. So watercolors was the best thing, but my main medium that I started art with and in general was drawing. So I just used mostly pencils and just drawing mediums, like whatever drawing medium you could say, I tried it usually. So painting, I was never really like super practiced until recently when I'll get there. But basically, I started with watercolors in middle school, here and there. It wasn't often, just sometimes, and they all came out looking horrible because I used to do portraits, so I tried doing portraits using watercolor, and I just didn't know how to do depth, like values, and adding depth into my portraits, so they all looked super flat and ugly. So I didn't use it that often. I just left it there. I kept focusing on just drawing, like with graphite pencils, charcoal, stuff like that. So then in high school was when for the first time in sophomore year, I tried painting in acrylics. And it was a black and white painting. Like my professor gave it to us because he knew I never painted. I only did drawings. He's like, okay, let's try painting. So he made me mix a bunch of different shades of like a grayscale palette, basically, from like white to black and like the in-between shades and values, whatever. So I tried doing like a painting with acrylics, and we all know that painting with acrylics and acrylics in general are they're a medium that dries quick as shit. So it's like, I struggled so hard because coming from somebody who over blended or just blended, like I was so used to blending in my drawings that I wanted to do the same thing but in painting. So trying to get that while the acrylic was drying quickly and stuff like that, it came out like a mess. And although it came out semi-blended, it just didn't look good. So I just struggled a lot with that painting, and the final didn't even look like my face because I over-focused on putting the values, and not even the values, just blending. I've over-focused on blending that the values looks like a bit off. They look off probably, and my face just doesn't look like me. Like I completely didn't think about proportions or anything because I was just so focused on blending that it just didn't come out looking like me. So that was my first acrylic painting, and after that I just continued with drawing. And then towards the end of my high school, like senior year and stuff, was when I finally tried it again, like with color this time, like acrylic painting but in color. And I did not know anything about color theory, and my professor he tried I think a couple of times, but I never paid attention because I was so focused in black and white like drawings that I just didn't care for color that much, even though I did a lot of color when I did my cartooning stuff, which was like just in my sketchbook mostly. But my more serious and bigger works that I did were just like charcoal or graphite, so black and white with maybe some pops of color using soft pastels. So I just didn't like I tried my best again in senior year, trying like, okay, time to give acrylic another go in color, or like with color, whatever. And since I knew nothing about color theory, I did not know how to mix skin tones, and I tried doing another self-portrait, and it came out horrible because all I did was get burnt sienna and then get some white and black and just try to make shades and like values out of that, but it gave no realism to my painting. So I gave up and I never even finished it. So I think that was like the only other time I tried acrylic. Right? Yeah, that was the only other time, and then I just didn't try it again. So at least in high school. But besides like that painting in high school, the only other painting I ever did in high school was with watercolors, and that was for my cartooning work, which I did in my sketchbook, as I mentioned previously. Mostly like I used it just for flat coloring and like maybe some slight shading, but I never used it for realism, right? Like no realistic type of drawings. It was mostly just little cartoon with mostly flat colors. So yeah, so I wasn't like, I'm not really like, I'm sort of, I guess you would say, semi-newbie in painting, because I only ever actually started it and actually learned how to work with paint better and color also in college, which is that takes me back to freshman year, which was when I first again touched acrylic. And it was for an assignment, and my professor, which she's my favorite professor like from college, because I'm already graduated, so I'm not going to that college anymore, but I had her many times for various classes, so she like I grew to like get used to her, and she was like the nicest professor I had. So basically she taught us color theory, because that class I think was 2D art and color and composition. So she taught us color theory towards the end of the semester, and that's the first time in my life that was the most useful thing I think I learned in all of my college time at community college. That was very useful to my art progress, art journey, because before that I knew nothing. After that, it feels like it has opened up a whole new knowledge for me, that it helped me so much that the painting I did that semester, which was another self-portrait, came out pretty good, and it was an acrylic. So although I struggled still with the thing, I didn't over blend as much, because instead of trying to blend with my brush or mix the color with my brush and putting it on, I would pre-mix a bunch of colors and then lay them on better, so that they the different shades and values and just tones and stuff like that, so I can put it on the canvas while I was painting my portrait, so it wouldn't come out just like I was over blending. So it came out pretty good, and I was surprised, because compared that to my last color acrylic painting that I did that same year, towards the beginning of the year probably, it was way better. So yeah, so basically that's when I did again painting. And as for oil painting, which is my main medium now in terms of painting, I started using oils for the first time in 2019, which was for my painting 1 class, and that was the first time I ever used oils, because I had never touched oils before that, and in high school they never let me use oils, even though I did want to, but my professor said there's too much chemicals involved and we just can't use it inside the classroom. So I didn't want to paint outside, or outside was also messy to paint, go outside and paint, especially with kids who were trying to sneak out of class. So I just didn't try oils back then. So in painting 1 was when I first did oils, and I had to get used to them, but they had its pros of slow drying. I was able to blend better and stuff like that. So that's why it's become my main medium, and I always knew that it was going to become one of my favorite mediums, because I know that oils in general are they work best for my type of basically work that I do, which I strive for more realism and stuff like that. So yeah, so basically I did oils then, and that was I tried actual oils, the real oils with the solvents and the chemicals and stuff like that. And eventually towards the end of the year is when I started developing a bit of sensitivity and allergies to regular oils, like the one, like I'm assuming it was probably like the mineral spirits that I started getting a bit of allergy to. So for painting too, which I took last year, I switched over to using water soluble oils. So now I don't use like mineral spirits or Gamsol or any of that. I just use water to like wash my brush and stuff. And it has its pros and cons, but at least I'm not really getting no allergies anymore, you know, like I get like how I got them back then. So far that's been my process with painting, I guess you would say. Like, I mean, I would consider myself more of a newbie, but one thing that I loved about painting that I could never mimic, I guess, in drawing was the use of color, because color is like, I love color. And although I do not dress the part, and I like dress the part in the sense that I'm not really a colorful person, like I usually dress in like blacks and grays and stuff like that, and more darker colors. I love bright colors in my paintings, which is the complete opposite of all my other work that I've ever done, which is usually black and white. Even in printmaking, I do black and white because I prefer it. I prefer how it looks, but in painting, I just prefer color. Like I could never do, I think, a black and white, and like I could do one, but I would have to add some color. Like I've always wanted to do color in my paintings. So well, I've always wanted to do color in general, but with painting, it's just the medium that I could use color in such a freeing way that you can mix so many colors. Plus knowing color theory and being able to mix a bunch of colors outside of, like, from, not outside, but like mix a bunch of different colors just from a couple of tubes of colors. Like you don't need the whole freaking rainbow remixed in order to make, like, you just yellow and red and a bit of black and a bit of some other blue, two different types of blues only. Like you can mix a bunch of colors. So that's why color theory was such a useful thing to know. And I'm not perfect either. Like I think I still have to learn something and get it like basically lodged in my brain, so that while I'm working, I'm able to, you know, make it like colors work out really well. So I'm still working on that. As you can see in this painting, I did this was mostly from my head, except my cat was a reference picture. Like the cat, she did have a reference picture to like paint from, but the rest was basically from my head that I imagined. And you can tell that that's something I'm also working on, is just creating depth and backgrounds in my paintings, because I think I struggle a lot with that, and that's something that I'm trying to push myself to learn more. So doing this painting at least allow me to see where I'm at, so that for next time I could see what I can fix and what I can work on in order for it to look more realistic, and not just like she's the only realistic thing there and everything else in the back looks flat. So yeah, so that's something that I'm still working on. But basically with painting, I think the best thing that I that I like about it is the use of color. So that's why it's one of my mediums that, like, my go-to medium, especially right now, because I just love the color part of it, like just being able to combine so many colors and making it bright and stuff. As you can see with my other paintings that I've done like videos on before, you can tell that they all came from reference images, so you can see exactly how I'm able to like replicate a reference image. But as for doing stuff from the top of my head, that's something I'm still really wanting to work on and wanting to be able to do that better, and so my artwork can come out exactly how I see it in my head, and just I would be super happy with it if it would come out the same as it is in my head. But for now, we're still working towards that. So far that's been my progress for painting, at least. As for like drawing, I still do drawing sometimes, but after doing it for so long, I just get tired of it, so I only do it on occasion. Like I try to draw with different things now, not just pencil. I try to draw in pen and other stuff and stuff like that. And then printmaking I also like doing, but that's more, I guess, my printmaking work is more on the dark side, like not only in color wise that it lacks color, but also that it's just the meanings behind it are more on a more dark art type of level. Like it's not like my paintings are just sort of straight to the point sometimes, or they don't have extreme meaning behind them, as I think I've worked my printmaking works, like I've made my printmaking works have so much like symbolism and meaning, but for my paintings not really, though I am working towards working with color to show like symbolism and meaning, because as I said, color, I could just manipulate color so much in painting. So yeah, so I think it's coming to an end. So that's all I wanted to say, and I hope you guys enjoyed the speed paint and my voiceover that I've never done before. I might do more, but I need to figure out what the heck I'm gonna talk about, and also try to talk in a better way, because I feel like I go all over the place. So yeah, I hope you like it. And I think I'm also gonna show the edges, like I'm gonna show a picture of the final product and also the edges of the painting, because this is a canvas, it's not a canvas panel like I usually work with, it's like actual canvas, so I had to paint the edges, and I'll show a picture of that at the end. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed the speed paint and my voiceover, and hopefully I'll make another video soon, but we'll see, because I'm busy with life stuff, you know, life stuff gets in the way right now, especially like personal life stuff. So, yeah. Bye.